Okay, so we're making an apple crisp, and the first step is to preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and then now we're gonna peel 4 apples. So yeah. Okay, and so then now we're gonna cut the apples, and it's important to use safe knife tips. You want a dry cutting board and a dry knife, and make sure it doesn't slip. And then when you're cutting, you want to be sure to have your fingers tucked in. And we're just gonna slice the apples. And so you don't want to get the core, so I'm just gonna cut it into quarters so you avoid getting any seeds. And you want to cut them, the thinner you cut them, the faster it'll cook. But you just want to make sure everything is evenly cut because it'll result in uneven cooking times. And then you just want to spread it at the bottom of an 8x8 pan. And you can cut them any way as long as they're even. And you want to make sure the knife stays on the board at all times because it could slip and it could cause you to cut yourself. And then we're just going to peel the rest of the apples like we did for the other ones. Same thing for the other ones. And you can use any apples you want. If you want more of a tart flavor, then you can use Granny Smith. I'm using Golden Delicious, but any apple is fine.
Go.
So I just pretty much finished cutting up the rest of the apples, and then I spread them evenly in the 8x8 pan, and then as you can see, they're all around the same size and the same thickness, so that when it cooks, it does cook evenly. And so now what we're gonna do is that we're gonna mix the dry ingredients together. And so in order to properly measure flour, we're gonna spoon it in, and then when it starts to fill up, then we're gonna level it out. But this just helps us avoid packed flour, which can create a dense crumble, and we don't want that. You want it to be as light as possible. And then we're just measuring out half a cup. And so you level it out just like that. And you can dump it out into the bowl. And then now we're gonna put in some brown sugar. But for brown sugar, what you do is that you're gonna pack it in there as tightly as possible. Melted my butter, and then now we're gonna sprinkle it over our dry ingredients. And then we're gonna mix this together until a crumble forms. And so the butter's gonna make it nice and flaky because you do want to have some fat into your pastry flour. This isn't exactly a flour, but it is a crumble, and it'll help melt into your apples while it bakes, and it helps get the sugar melted easier. And you can add anything you want. You can also add like walnuts or almonds, but I'm kind of just doing a simple base to this. I just used a whisk. You can really use anything that you have. And then now we're just going to put it over our apples. And you kind of want to make sure it's kind of evenly spread. And you want to make sure it's spread evenly over your apples, because like the apples, part of this can be undercooked as well, and you don't want undercooked oats. You want to make sure it's nice and crispy. And the crumble is going to melt, and it's going to help spread the sugar. So as you can see, I spread my crumble mixture evenly over my apples. And so now this is ready to go in the oven. We're going to put it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes.